If two non-motile gametes of same size fuse, it is called as an isogamy. So the structure, everything will be same here. Only thing is there will be a size difference, which is a xanthophyll pigment that is called as fucoxanthin. Based on how much amount of fucoxanthin is present in that particular Phaeophyceae algal members, the color varies. It can be olive green to different shades of brown. Non-motile female gamete that is larger fuses with the motile male gamete that is smaller. So therefore answer is oogamous. Everyone, a warm welcome to this session on first PUC Biology. I am Dr. Divya, Biology Faculty, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. So in this session, let us talk about a small topic called Algae under chapter 3, that is Plant Kingdom. After learning about algae, we shall look into some of the MCQs that can be framed under this particular topic. So talking about algae, let's look into some of the general characteristics of algae. So algae, they are nothing but they come under the plant kingdom. So on the plant kingdom, we have the algae, bryophytes, the pteridophytes, gymnosperms and the angiosperms. So algae, they are chlorophyll bearing, that is they have chlorophyll pigment in them, that is why they are green in color. And they are simple thalloid structures. So thalloid, why do we call them thalloid? Is because they don't have true roots, leaves or stem when compared to that of a plant. So when you look at a plant, you can say the plant has a leaf, it has petiole, it has flowers, it has fruits, it has seeds, it has stem, right? It has roots. But when you look at a algae, you cannot differentiate into roots, leaves, stem and all that. So that is why such a plant body is called as thalloid or thallus, and they are autotrophic, that is their mode of nutrition wherein they derive their food by themselves, making use of the sunlight because they have chlorophyll pigment in them. And their habitat is mainly aquatic, that is they can live in both fresh water, that is rivers, ponds, lakes, streams, etc. and they can also live in marine water, that is seas and oceans. And apart from that, they are also found on moist stones, in soils and wood. So that means wherever the availability of moisture is there you can find algae growing under suitable environmental conditions. And apart from that, algae also shows some symbiotic association wherein you can find them growing along with fungi, that is lichen, and also sometimes you can find them growing on animals, for example sloth bear. So you can see the sloth bear is actually somewhat creamish brown in color, but because of the algae growing on it, it looks green. So they can also grow on some of the animals, for example on sloth bear. And talking about their form and size, so they can be colonial, for example, that is they can grow in the form of colonies, like volvox is a kind of algae that grows in the form of colonies. So like volvox, and they can also be filamentous like Eulothrix and Spirogyra. So filamentous is, so this is a filamentous algae. So this is a filamentous algae, if you can see here, filamentous. So they are tube-like in structure, they are filamentous, or they can form massive plant bodies like kelps. As you can see here, these are kelps wherein they can form huge plant bodies, like that also they can grow. So they range from size, from smaller size to larger in size. Next, talking about the reproduction in algae. So the algae can be vegetative, asexual and sexual. So vegetative method of reproduction is by fragmentation, wherein the algae breaks into smaller fragments or smaller bits, and each fragment or bit develops into a new algae or a plant body or a thalloid. So that is by fragmentation. And asexual reproduction by the formation of spores, especially the zoospores, which are motile. And sexual reproduction is by fusion or fertilization of two gametes, wherein the male and the female gametes are involved. So these two gametes are of three types. They can be isogamous, anisogamous or oogamous. So isogamous means here the gametes, say for example, I'll draw and show it to you. So isogamous means the two gametes are similar in size. So iso means of same size. So they are of same size. So therefore it is isogamous, they are of same size, and either they can be flagellated, both can be flagellated, or they can be without a flagella, meaning either two motile gametes of same size fuse, it is called as isogamy. If two non-motile gametes of same size fuse, it is called as an isogamy. So the structure, everything will be same here. Only thing is there will be a size difference. The female will be larger and the male will be smaller. That is how. So here there will not be neither a structural difference nor a size difference. Both are same in size. That is isogamous. The best example is for flagellated gametes of same size, you find them in eulothrix, and non-flagellated or non-motile gametes of same size, you find them in Spirogyra algae. Next is anisogamous. So anisogamous means here the fusion of gametes will be between two dissimilar size. Here also they are of not same size, two dissimilar size. So that is anisogamous. So they can be, one can be larger and one can be smaller, or both can have flagella or both may not have flagella. That is, both can be motile or both can be non-motile. So best example here is Eudorrhina. Next, talking about oogamous. In oogamous, the fusion of gamete is always between, so one will be larger and the other will be smaller, and always it is the male gamete will be smaller and it will have flagella. So this is the male gamete and this one will be the female gamete. So here the female gamete is always larger and it is non-motile, it is static. Why it is non-motile? Because it will not have a flagella, whereas the male gamete will always be smaller in size and it will be flagellated. It is the male gamete that will move towards the female gamete and it will fuse there. So such type of fusion of gametes wherein one, the female is larger and not motile, the male is smaller and motile, is called as oogamous. So this is about the three different types of gamete fusion, that is isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. Next, moving on to the uses of algae. So algae are of different uses to mankind as well as to environment. So to the environment, what they do is they take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen, therefore increasing the level of oxygen in their immediate environment. So wherever algae is there, surrounding the algae, the amount of oxygen will be more there. And also they are the primary producers. Like for all the aquatic organisms, they come first in the trophic level of the food chain. Therefore, they form the primary producers wherein all the other aquatic organisms will depend on the algae for food. And some of the marine algae are used by human beings for food. For example, Porphyra, Laminaria and Sargassum. So these are the marine algae which grows in oceans and seas. They are collected and different cuisines are prepared out of it. Next, from marine brown algae and from red algae, two important products are derived, or some products are derived, which is called as algin, and one more that is called as keragin. So algin is a compound that is derived from marine brown algae and keragin is a compound that is got from red algae. So these two, that is algin and keragin, they actually act as hydrocolloids. Hydrocolloids means they are the ones which are capable of holding water. So therefore they can be used in culinary preparations wherein for thickening gels, for thickening soups and all that, these can be used. That is algin and keragin. And next, from algae, that is from Gelidium and Gracilaria, from these two algae, agar can be obtained. So agar is nothing but a form of powder, that is nothing but China grass, right? So it can be used in making lots of desserts. So agar is obtained from Gelidium and Gracilaria. And also algae, some of the algae, they are very, very rich in protein. Therefore, they are used as a protein supplement by the astronauts or by the space travelers. So these are the uses of algae. So next, talking about the classes of algae. So algae is divided into three main classes: Chlorophyllae, which is called as the green algae. Next, Phaeophyceae, the brown algae, and Rhodophyceae, which is also called as the red algae. So we shall study about these three one by one. So talking about Chlorophyceae, as I told you, Chlorophyceae, also called as the green algae, they are unicellular. So remember, Chlorophyceae members or Chlorophyceae algae are unicellular in nature, whereas the other two, that is Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae, are multicellular. So they are unicellular. They can be either colonial. So this is colonial. Colonial. So colonial means, best example is volvox, wherein you can see they form colonies or they form groups. This is one group, this is one group, and the group is covered by a gelatinous sheath. So therefore, they can be in the form of colonies or they can be filamentous like Spirogyra. They can be filamentous, and these Chlorophyceae members, the name itself says they have chlorophyll pigment in them, right? That is why they are green in color. So which type of chlorophyll pigment they have? They have chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. These are the two pigments that are present in them. And apart from that, where are these pigments present? These pigments, chlorophyll A and B, are present in structures called as chloroplasts. And these chloroplasts can be of different shapes. They can be discoid, that is like a disc, or they can be somewhat like a plate. They can be reticulate. So reticulate is nothing but they can be like branches. Have you seen a leaf? When you hold a leaf in the sun and have a look at it, you can see that is a leaf of a dicot plant. When you hold and see in the sun, you can see venations like this. So this is nothing but reticulate. The structure is called as reticulate. So it can be reticulate, it can be in the shape of a cup, or it can be in the shape of a spring, or it can be in the shape of a ribbon. And next, talking about the color of Chlorophyceae algae, it is obviously glass green in color because it has chlorophyll A and B pigment in it. And apart from that, in the chloroplast, apart from the chloroplast having pigments, it also has storage bodies called as pyrenoids. And these pyrenoids help this Chlorophyceae algae to store food in the form of protein, in the form of starch, and also in the form of oil droplets. And these Chlorophyceae members, their cells are covered by a rigid cell wall, that is a rough cell wall, wherein it has two cell walls, two layers of cell wall, wherein the inner layer is made up of cellulose compound and the outer layer is made up of pectose compound. Next, talking about the reproduction in Chlorophyceae members. Here also it is vegetative, asexual and sexual methods of reproduction. Vegetative reproduction can be by fragmentation. I have already told you what fragmentation is. Asexual by flagellated zoospores, meaning the zoospores that have flagella, which are whip-like structures. Therefore, they are capable of movement. And next is sexual, again here by isogamers, anisogamers or oogamers. I've already told you what these three are. So you can go back to the previous slides and have a look into it. And these algae, some of the examples of Chlorophyceae members are Chlamydomonas, we have volvox, there is Eulothrix, Spirogyra and Cara. So these are some of the examples of Chlorophyceae members. So all these are unicellular in nature. Remember that, that's important for the exam. Next, talking about Phaeophyceae, that is brown algae. So they are brown in color and these are completely marine, that is they live in oceans and seas. They are not found in fresh waters. They are simple branched. Their structure, they can be simple branched or they can be filamentous. For example, Ectocarpus, or they can have too much of branches, that is profusely branched, that is kelps, which can grow to up to 100 meters. So profusely branched means too much of branching like this. They'll have too much of branching. The growth will be with too much of branching like this. So that is profusely branched, and they are brown in color because they have some pigments. That is, apart from fucoxanthin, they have pigments which are chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C, and they have carotenoids, which is an orange color pigment, and they also have xanthophylls. And because they have these pigments, they are olive green to color to various shades of brown in color, depending upon the amount of xanthophyll pigment, that is fucoxanthin, is present. So though they have these pigments, that is chlorophyll A, C and carotenoids, there is one particular pigment which is a xanthophyll pigment, that is called as fucoxanthin. Based on how much amount of fucoxanthin is present in that particular Phaeophyceae algal members, the color varies. It can be olive green to different shades of brown. And talking about the food storage, the food is stored in the form of complex carbohydrate, that is two forms of complex carbohydrate, either in the form of laminarin or in the form of mannitol. Next here, talking about the plant body. So the plant body, I told you, it is thalloid. There is no true root, stem or leaf. So what do they have exactly? We shall look into. So they have a hold fast that helps the plant body to attach itself to the substratum. So algae, you can find them growing in the seas, oceans, water bodies, etc. Right? So they have a hold fast. So this hold fast helps the algae to, it acts like a root so that the algae can attach to wherever it is growing, it can attach itself properly. And they have a stipe, which is nothing but the stalk. So this is the stipe, that is the stalk. And they have frond. Frond is nothing but the leaf-like structures. Frond. And these leaf-like structures, they are usually somewhat greenish in color and they help in photosynthesis because they have chlorophyll A and C pigments in them. So that is why. And apart from that, they have some vegetative cells. So vegetative cells are those cells or those parts of the algae which do not take part in the reproduction process. So those vegetative cells, they have a wall or they have a covering which is made up of cellulose. That is, it is usually covered by cellulose, and after the cellulose, there is one more layer that is present which is covered by algin. So they have two layers, inner layer of cellulose and outer layer of algin. And the protoplast contains plastids. They have a centrally located vacuole and a nucleus which is pushed towards the periphery. So next, talking about the reproduction, here also it can be vegetative, asexual or sexual. So vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation. Asexual reproduction, it is by biflagellate zoospores. Biflagellate means zoospores having two flagella and the shape of the zoospore is pear shaped. That is, it looks exactly like the pear fruit and it has two flagella. This is the zoospore. It is pear shaped, just like pear fruit, how it looks, the same way. And sexual reproduction, it is isogamous, anisogamous or oogamous, and usually the union or the fusion of these gametes takes place in the water. That is why these brown algae are marine, so that the gametes are released into the water. In the water itself, the fusion of the gametes can take place and the further plant body can develop. And also, there are some examples under that is Phaeophyceae, that is brown algae. We have Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Laminaria, Sargassum and Fucus. So these are some of the examples. So next, moving on to the third class, that is a third class of algae, Rhodophyceae, which is also called as red algae because it is red in color. Why is it red in color? It has one particular pigment in abundance which is called as R-phycoerythrin. So that is why this R-phycoerythrin gives it a red color. And these are marine forms. Wherever there is warm waters, you can find them, and wherever, and also you can find them in the banks or the banks wherever it is well lighted, enough amount of sunlight is there, and also you can find them in oceans, deep oceans, where the light is a little bit less, not in complete darkness, but where the light is a little bit less. In deep oceans also you can find them. And their thallus is multicellular, and the food is usually stored in the form of Floridian starch. So this is about Rhodophyceae. Their reproduction, it can be vegetative, asexual and sexual. Vegetative by fragmentation, sexual by motile zoospores, and asexual by non-motile zoospores, and sexual by non-motile gametes, wherein it can be oogamous. And some of the examples for red algae or Rhodophyceae are Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria and Gelidium. Gracilaria and Gelidium we studied, right? They are used in making agar. So these are some of the red algae. So now we'll look into some of the MCQs that can be framed from this particular topic in exam point of view. So dash is a colonial algae. Is it Eulothrix, Spirogyra, Volvox or Fucus? So it is Volvox. So Eulothrix, Spirogyra and all that are filamentous in nature. So Volvox is the one that is colonial. So Volvox is the answer. Fusion between one large non-motile female gamete and a smaller motile male gamete is called as oogamous, right? Here, non-motile female gamete that is larger fuses with the motile male gamete that is smaller. So, therefore, answer is oogamous. Next, dash is a unicellular algae. Is it volvox, chlorella, ulva, spirogyra? So the answer here is chlorella is a unicellular algae. Dash is a brown algae. Is it volvox, eulothrix, laminaria or porphyra? So the right answer here is laminaria, because volvox is a green algae, eulothrix again a green algae, and porphyra is a red algae. So therefore brown algae is laminaria. Next, dictyota. Dictyota is a dash algae. Is it green, brown, red? None of the above. So dictyota is a brown algae. It is a brown algae. So green algae we have chlorella, eulothrix, spirogyra, volvox and all that. Red algae we have gracilaria, gelidium, all that comes under red algae. So therefore the answer here is dictyota is a brown algae. Next, dash is used in jelly preparation. So now, for example, I have asked the question, dictyota is a dash algae. Is it green, brown, red? None of the above, right? So like that you can frame questions now, right? So like you can frame chlorella is a dash algae, eulothrix is a dash algae. So like that questions can be framed. You have to study based on that. Okay, dash is used in jelly preparation. So is it algin? No, algin is a hydrocolloid, not that. Is it keratin? Is it sargassum? Is it gelidium? So it is gelidium because from gelidium agar is got, so that can be used in jelly preparation. Next, chlorophyllae are commonly called as, is it red algae, green algae, brown algae, all of the above. The name itself says chlorophyllae, means it has something to do with the chlorophyll pigments in abundance. That is, it has chlorophyll A and B in abundance. So therefore it is the green algae. The outer layer of green algae is made of, I told you green algae has two coverings, right? So outer layer is made of, is it cellulose, chitin, pectone or silica? So the outer layer is made of pectose. Why pectose? Because cellulose, it is made up of two layers. Okay. Inner layer is cellulose. So therefore outer layer is pectose. So understand the question. They can ask the inner layer of green algae is made of. It will be cellulose answer. But here the question is the outer layer of green algae is made of. So therefore the answer is pectose here. Okay, next. Chlorophyllae has dash pigment. So it has, does it have xanthophyll or phycoerythrin, chlorophyll B or chlorophyll D? The right answer here is chlorophyll B. So it can have chlorophyll A also, but chlorophyll A is not given here option. Chlorophyll B is given. So chlorophyll B you have to choose because it has both chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Xanthophyll, no. It is the brown algae, that is Phaeophyceae has xanthophyll. Or phycoerythrin is present in red algae, that is Rhodophyceae. Chlorophyll D, it's not there in any of them. So, therefore, the answer is chlorophyll B. Next, fucoxanthin is a dash pigment. So, fucoxanthin is a kind of xanthophyll pigment. So, therefore, the right answer here is xanthophyll. So, it is this fucoxanthin that gives the different shades of brown to brown algae, that is Phaeophyceae members. Next question. The brown algae is attached to the substratum by, is it stipe? No, because stipe is the stalk. Is it holdfast? Yes, holdfast acts like a root that actually helps the Phaeophyceae members or brown algae to attach properly to the substratum. Is it frond? No, because it is a leaves. Is it algin? No, because algin has something to do with the uses of algae. It is a jelly-like compound that is there in algae. So, it is not algin. Next, the food in red algae is stored as. In what form is it stored in red algae? Is it laminarin? No, laminarin is a complex carbohydrate. Mannitol is also a complex carbohydrate. Laminarin mannitol is found in Phaeophyceae members. And pyrenoids are the storage bodies that are found in Chlorophyceae members. So, all these are not the right answer. So, these are the wrong answers. Therefore, the right answer here is Floridian starch. So, the food in red algae is stored as Floridian starch. So, likewise, they can ask the food in Chlorophyceae are stored in dash. Is it in pyrenoids or is it in the chloroplast? So, like that they can frame question. You have to be smart enough to frame questions on your own based on the question that I have framed here. So, likewise different sets of questions can be framed. So, this was about this particular topic wherein we studied about algae, the classes of algae, that is Chlorophyllae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae, their mode of reproduction, habitat, how the foods are stored in them, and what is the cell wall made up of, all that we came to know. And also we learned like how the questions can be framed for MCQs from this particular topic. So I hope you understood this session. So we shall meet again in the coming session, wherein we'll study about the next class under Kingdom Plantae, that is Bryophytes. So we shall meet again in the coming session. Thank you.